Hey guys, it's the Tech Prepper. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to continue that series on signals intelligence and take a look at tracking aircraft with the RTL SDR. Really straightforward. Just got to set up camp here real quick and we'll jump right into it. All right guys, so we decided to throw up the tarp shelter, and by we I mean me and Scout. And there are some freedom seeds going off in the background. Don't worry about that. All right, so we're going to be using the RTL SDR. Right now I'm using the version 3, but version 4 is also a great choice. I like to put on these SMA to BNC adapters because it allows me to have options for my antenna. For example, all of my HTs also have an SMA to BNC adapter, so if I had to in a pinch, I could take off this Diamond R8707, my preferred field antenna, because I can move it out of the way. But you can also go with some smaller antennas. Actually, as part of the kit, I usually keep this Nagoya in here. I've had this for years. It's the NA773, also BNC. And while it's not perfect for aircraft, we'll talk about a different type of antenna we'll use for tracking. But SDR, I prefer the adapter and some packable antenna. And then we also need a USB-C male on the go to USB-C-A adapter, and then we're just going to use an Android device. All right, so connecting everything is going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to take our SDR here and plug it into our USB-A adapter. I'll put links down below for these accessories. I've been using them for years, and then we'll connect our BNC antenna. If you don't have one, just use SMA, but again, this is a personal preference. And then with the on-the-go cables, what's nice about these on Android is that they will allow us to detect the USB-C device. This video is going to be pretty quick here. So there's only two applications you need on Android from the Google Play Store. The first one is the RTL SDR driver. That's what allows this device to work with the RTL SDR hardware and make it available as services to other applications. And then we're going to be using the adsb radar application for the aircrafts. adsb is the formal name for the beacons that the aircraft put out. We'll go ahead and click that. We have a small disclaimer here, and then all we have to do is hit play. You'll notice here that I've got the audio turned off. It'll ding every time we get an aircraft. We can click on radar and we should be able to see all of the aircraft around us. My preferred view is the map. So you can see here we're geodetected. We have all of the aircraft around us, and we can go ahead and click on one of those. We'll get the tail number, we'll get the airspeed, we'll get the bearing, and we'll get the elevation. So fairly straightforward for situational awareness. The nice thing is that everything but the antenna fits in this tiny bag. So just like the earlier videos, there's no reason not to have this gear with us, because at the end of the day, it really just is a on-the-go cable. We'll take off the antenna here so it fits in the bag, and then we'll go ahead and also put in our SMA male to BNC adapter. And guys, this one is from Diamond. This is not one of the cheap Chinese ones. The Chinese radios actually like to use the center pin here is exposed, but this one works more like the Japanese radios where we have the SMA female here, and then we use an SMA male adapter here. Now, for most people, that setup is going to work great. I want to show you a couple of other things. Specifically, if you're only interested in tracking aircraft, you may want to consider getting the adsbexchange.com SDR instead, because it is actually purpose-built for tracking aircraft, but the RTL SDR version 3.4 works just as well. So this is the one we're going to use for this next demo. We're going to use another on-the-go cable, but this one is a USB-A to USB-A, and that's because I want to pair it with my computer. And then we are actually going to use a 1090 megahertz antenna. This is the frequency on which those beacons are transmitted. So this is a much more performant antenna, but this is typically something I can't carry with me in the field. All right, now that I'm doing more work with SDR and SIGINT, I decided to start work on a couple of accessories. So I had my bad guy put together a SDR holder that just has some hook and some elastic retainers here. Very simple design. And then I have that on-the-go cable going into the laptop. And then the nice thing about this, in combination with my custom FZM1 bag, is that I could just open this up pretty much one-handed here, and we've got the antenna on the top here. And just like the Android application, I'm a big fan of Simple. So again, I'm using my personal operating system, which is MCOM Tools Community, and we're gonna launch my custom app called ET Aircraft. And right now we don't have an internet connection, everything is offline. it has detected that the SDR is plugged in, and it has geodetected us as well as rendered the offline map. And there's a map for the entire world, and we can already see aircraft coming in. So we'll zoom in here just a bit, and we can zoom around the map here. We can click on this aircraft here. It puts a circle around it, and then we're able to also show things like info. So unlike the other application that I was showing you, my custom one actually includes offline FAA data, and it merges the radio signal that is picked up here. So I'm able to, for example, get the type of registrant, corporation, who the owner is, year, and a whole bunch of other things. And then I can also go ahead and do some filtering. So if I was interested in government aircraft, which was the reason why I got into SIGINT to begin with. I'll tell you guys the story here in a minute. But we'll just do LLC and government and filter by those two. And again, big fan of just simple. Doesn't look like there's any aircraft there, so that's a terrible example. We will uncheck that, apply, and then we'll just go ahead and take a look at the table to see what we have there. Yeah, so most of those are LLCs, corporations. So let's just filter by LLC, hit apply, and then we'll hide that view there, and then we can zoom in. So not bad, we're able to get aircraft pretty far out here. This guy's all the way down, probably about 60 miles from our location. That last demo was just meant to be food for thought and showcasing my off-grid, offline first radio operating system that's based on Linux. It's called MCOM Tools Community. I've been developing it for a few years, and I just like to have things that are easy to use. It's not always the case. Amateur radio usually make things very difficult. If you're interested in more in that project, consider supporting me over on Buy Me a Coffee. I've got a major release coming out next month, R6, and then R7 is coming out in Thanksgiving. And for that one, I'm actually going to be able to distribute it for downloads. You won't have to build it anymore yourself. And I'm also planning on packaging it up as an old school box set, complete with manual. So it'll complete that off-grid, offline first vision that I've had for a while. All right, guys, if you want to stick around after Scout and I make some coffee here, I'll share with you why I got into SIGINT, and it has to do with the airplanes overhead. So we opened up the video with some gunshots going off in the background. That's very common out here in the desert. It's completely legal as long as there isn't a fire restriction. And I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, I had put in a drop-in binary trigger into my Ruger 1022 takedown. And mind you, I had tracked my run previously with my watch. And I did one mag dump, was really excited, really fun to shoot with the binary trigger. So I took a bunch of photos and video and a few other things. So maybe about 5 minutes later, I went ahead and went through the second magazine of 25 rounds in the BX-25 that I brought with me. And then I decided to make a quick cup of coffee and then dump the last 25 rounds really quick. It sounds like full auto. That's the thing with the binary trigger. You actually have 2 rounds per trigger pull. You bring the trigger back, 1 round goes off, you release, a second one goes off. So it sounds like full auto, especially if you're pretty quick with your trigger finger there. Anyways, after I'd done that third mag dump, I heard a helicopter come in right on top of me. And this took from the second I did my first mag dump all the way to my last, it was no more than probably 15 to 20 minutes, and decided to pack up when I heard it, and then just went out on the trail. White and blue helicopter came on right on top of me. It did a loop-de-loo. A few times I stopped, I looked up, and I'm pretty sure the people in the helicopter just thought it was a trail runner. I had a suspicion that they were reacting to a call-in for probably what sounded like fully automatic fire. So anyways, I went back to the house, and there's this excellent website called adsbexchange.com, and they let you go to a geographic area, and you can go back in time and replay aircraft flight. So I took the data that I had captured from my run earlier, synced up the time, and then was even able to figure out when I had done the first round of shots, the second, and the third. So this is the timeline that I established. When I did the first mag dump, within a few minutes, there was a Phoenix PD helicopter. I was able to tell from adsb exchange that was dispatched out of Deer Valley. And then about 5 or so minutes later, when I did the second mag dump, it made an almost perfect bearing into the national forest where I was. And then when I did the last one, it had a perfect bearing for me. So I was of the thought that they have some type of acoustic system that is allowing them to pretty much triangulate where gunshot fire is coming from. Like I said, nothing happened. It was fully within my rights. Everything I was shooting was allowed. There were no fire restrictions, but it really got me thinking that I wanted to have some situational awareness around the aircraft. So that's what set me on the path to figure out how to get into SIGINT and take a look at what signals are around us, which ones can we grab out of the sky, and then more than that, how can we do that in a more offline capacity. So that's why I got the ULI phone that you saw there, was so that I could install some Android applications, as well as the reason why I got that ULI phone was that it has a FLIR sensor. So about 1.5 years ago, I also started to explore how to defeat thermal, which I figured out. Never really did a video with that stuff, but that's the story, guys. Anyways, big thanks to you guys who are still watching. Really appreciate you guys. And then a special shout out to all the Buy Me a Coffee guys. You guys are amazing. Be strong, be safe, and be prepared.